Excellent work, everyone. Thank you. So it's a little pretentious to call myself a hero, but not to overpromise. Let's hope that in the next 45 minutes, I can save all of you and our entire industry, you know? I noticed as I saw all the other talks, people have like a bio and stuff about them and whatever. I didn't do that, so if you don't know who I am, sorry, I'm not really gonna tell you. So just look me up and talk to me afterward, you know, like a real person, like a real conversation. So yeah, whatever. I'm an animator, 20 years experience, 2D, 3D, all that stuff, Rive, yeah. So, you know, I have a reason to be here, but check that out later. But this talk is not full of stuff about me, but it's full of things I've thought of and my philosophy. So get ready for that. So you liked that intro, I think, right? You like that? Okay, cool. All right, are you ready to go on an adventure with me? Good. Good, I was worried you'd say no. So this is the first time that I'm not alone as one player with this presentation. We have 400 players here. Let's play this game together. Level 1. All right. Yeah, okay. So everything kind of sucks right now, right? Our flavor of the multiverse, pretty interesting. And since I made this, you know, I don't know if these robots are like there to blow up the White House or to protect it. I don't really know. So yeah, the big billionaire boys are fighting and we just have to all sit in their wake of trash, right? But seriously, yeah, there's a flood of tragic and irresponsible stuff going on right now at the highest levels of government, far from us having any sense of control or influence on it. It's like the hardest time ever to be creative, to want to make art, to feel like it has any relevance to this dystopian reality we're living in. It's really hard to have fun creating. It's really hard to feel like it has any purpose and any relevance, right? So I've spent many hours thinking, you know, about other professions versus our profession. Like, shouldn't I be a doctor? Or shouldn't I be a therapist? Or shouldn't I be a farmer or a food cultivator or a scientist? You know, you see where I'm going. Someone who's impacting what we think are the only necessities of life, right? Very clear, obvious benefits to people's lives. I suspect maybe some of you have thought about this too, like, why am I doing this goofy art career? My talk is about trying to reframe some of those misconceptions we might tell ourselves and helping to flip the script, get you thinking about things a little differently. This is the first thing. So I would say that the worse it gets around us, outside of us, the more important art is, the more valuable art becomes, the more courageous it is to pursue art at that point, and the more brave it is to keep creating. Art is fundamental to the human experience. It began as a form of communication, a way of recording history. This is the oldest known piece of human art, the warty pig from Indonesia, 45,500 years old. So what we do is pretty fundamental to human existence. So yeah, got it? All right, you like that? Okay. Art has been a form of resistance throughout our history. Many of the highest regarded pieces of art recorded historical events. It's the clearest way to communicate a concept or opinion universally, as it surpasses all language barriers. It bypasses them. Art is very powerful. I know it's obvious. We all know a picture is worth 1,000 words. Oh, my mic cutting out? Pictures worth 1,000 words, but it's good to step back and remember this. Now, thinking along these lines of like how important art is, that can actually stir up something else in us, maybe inadvertently. Perhaps a feeling of obligation to make all of our creations only for the purpose of communicating a clear opinion, clear idea, or bringing awareness to something important. And sometimes we do that, like a lot of our art should do that, bring awareness to what needs to be brought awareness to. Sometimes you might do this, something weighs on you, you express it through art, that's how you process it. And that's a wonderful, great thing. And if that's what you're feeling inside of you, you should let it out. Also, in a less grandiose place, maybe just the feeling we all have of like, I should post more. But really, does anything good come out of either of those motivations of obligation and guilt? And every form of social media is assaulting us with these same guilt triggers all the time. It's not good motivation. I challenge you to resist that and to work towards freeing yourself from that cycle of guilt. Because art is so powerful that we don't even know how it will influence people, how it will go out into the world, how it will inspire others, bring joy, delight. When you make something, it goes out into the universe and it's no longer in your control. I know it's tempting to look at the stats of a post and say, like, how many people like this? But those statistics, that information, that whole reach thing, that is not relevant to the quality of the creation in like any way. So if you make something, put it out there, try to accept that you no longer have control over it and you can't do anything more about it. That's the art's problem, Unless you made it really edgy on purpose and just to offend people, and then I can't help you. So I would say everything you make is for you, like Mr. Walter White here. I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. It made me feel alive, right? Words of wisdom. I think about it all the time. So what matters most is what you feel when you create something. Sure, some things you make for a client to make money, for you to live. Some things you make for a friend, perhaps to help them out as a favor, for an event or something, for a wedding. But you get the benefit of that interaction, of that friendship from that. Creation is a good, selfish thing. It's one of the few things you do that no one can touch if you don't want them to. If someone takes away almost everything you have, you can still make art. You can scrape rocks on a wall. You can compose writings in your mind or with your voice. It's really hard to silence an artist. And I know, nowadays, you post something, AI can scrape it, put it in its basket of tricks, and recreate your style. Plagiarism has always been a problem, though. And there's always grifters in every generation. But you can win against them, perhaps in an unexpected way. What if you make something you don't show it to anybody? Something you don't show to anyone, create something just for yourself, maybe just for a select group of people, and maybe you share it to them in an analog way, or perhaps a digitally encrypted way, but just something that isn't connected to the internet, just for you, for a select group of people, you and your partner. The things that you love, the things that you're obsessed with. Yeah, as a kid, I would draw these like scenes on rooftops of these little ninjas fighting each other and fighting robots and stuff. And I don't have a picture of it, unfortunately, so you got RoboCop. But yeah, when I was making those, I drew those as a kid, I didn't even know the concept of sharing them. This is before the internet. I did that only for me. I probably showed it to some friends, whatever, but it was just a natural inclination. I didn't know how to not make that stuff. It just came out of me. It's just what I wanted to spend my time on. It was fun. So I would kind of venture to say, going back to that first point, it's a little egotistical to think you can just decide to do another profession and to think that you'll just be as good at it as you are at what you do now. We may perceive those professions as better, being a doctor, etc. They're amazing, but we just perceive them as better as what we do now. And you can call it maybe fate, destiny, whatever. But what you do now is probably what you're the best at. It's part of what makes you, you. And the worse it gets around us, the more important it is to hold on to what makes you, you. The more valuable it is to make art that you love and maybe show no one. That feels very pure, very rare, very unique, very powerful to me. Something untouchable by society, untouchable by AI, whatever it is. You have that power. Just to make something to feed yourself, So I went really hard on this first point of my talk because it's the most important. So if you space out now, you just disassociate for the rest of my talk, at least you got this point. Creating art is courageous. We are all brave, so let's be brave together. Sound good? All right, let's move on. Level 2. There's only 4 levels, so you can keep track. This one. This thing, general specialist, oh my God. So most common question in our industry, should I niche down or should I be a generalist? I would venture to say this question, or at least this way of asking it, is pretty irrelevant at this point. I've had many artists newer on the scene, maybe just graduated school, ask this question. And I know it comes from a place of just trying to get some insight on where to start. It can be a very overwhelming time when you're just getting out of school or just starting your career. But this question is even less relevant to people starting their careers. Why is that? Because you can't start out as a specialist. You have to be a generalist at first. You have to try different things. You have to see what you like and don't like. Sorry, that's the answer. Because to be a specialist, you have to be at the tippity top of some segment of the industry. You have to stand out and be able to survive with one really good ability. And that usually comes later in your career, if it comes at all. We can't all be Reese Parker. Love you. Very few of us can pull that off, though. Yeah, be lucky enough to have that level of talent, no matter how hard we work. Because it's really not something usually you plan and work towards specifically. It just happens along the way. A string of unexpected circumstances and connections leads you to that point where you become the go-to person for something. So this whole question of generalist specialist represents what I believe is a fundamental issue with humans and how they look at decisions. Humans have a tendency to boil things down to either or, yes or no, right and wrong, black and white, red or blue, 0 or 1. I call this binary thinking, or thinking without any nuance, thinking it without any compromise, and everything is nuance. Everything's in the details. Most of what encompasses humanity is between the 0 and the 1, conceptually on a spectrum. Asterisk. Okay, sorry, not everything, even though I just said that. When it comes to universal human rights, when it comes to the thought of someone's life being valuable than someone else's life, there's no nuance there. We know the answer, what it should be. And if that isn't the answer for someone, you know. Okay, that's the only caveat. Everything else is nuance, everything else is compromise, but not that one. Everyone has a right to live the best life they can. Yeah, all right. So coming back to generalist specialist, you're most likely to just move between generalist specialists at different times in your career, or just become a amalgamation of both, some crazy chimera beast, whatever we are. So continuing on this concept of what I call deep spectral thinking, let's do some thought experiments and expand our brains. All right, starting with classical versus quantum computing. Of course, what else will I talk about? Yes, so classical computers, which is every computer we've used all of our lives up to here, use classical bits, which are composed of only a 0 or a 1, an on-off switch. And it's worked pretty well until now, but due to advances in particle physics, quantum mechanics, we're entering the quantum computing era. Quantum computers use qubits, which can be a 0 or a 1, but can also exist in a superposition of both 0 and 1, or any combination of 0 and 1. And you don't have to understand what that means, just to know that a qubit can do a lot more stuff than a bit. It can be a lot more things than a classical bit, many orders of magnitude more. To illustrate this, let's look at the Roman alphabet. When you're writing English words, imagine not just being able to write things, express emotions, express ideas with just the 26 letters of our alphabet, but another extra 26 letters in between, and another extra 26 letters in between each of those, and so on and so on. Conceptually, nearly infinite ways to describe something. That's a lot of nuance. Okay, why am I giving you a science lesson? Partially just see what I can get away with on stage. Want to go off on a tangent about something I love and I'm really passionate about and see what I can get away with in front of 400 people. So thank you for that. Love it. All right, cool. Thanks. But there's a point to this. And it might start to get a little spiritual, for lack of a better word. Trying to understand extremely complex and awe-inspiring technology, like quantum computers, which are practically based on magic for all we're concerned, can inform us about the abilities of our own fleshy computer brains. Because the human brain is even more complex than the quantum computer, far more complex. The human brain is the most complex system in the known universe. We all contain a universe inside of us. I know it's tempting to try and simplify all the things we're dealing with into A or B, 0 and 1, a yes or no answer, to make everything manageable in that way. But I believe that because of the complexity inside of us, we can handle this uncertainty. The subconscious that we have can process it. It's kind of a trust thing. I believe it's possible. We can handle all these fears that we are getting assaulted with now. Speaking of fears, let's get into the biggest fear we all have right now. That would be AI, right? I think, maybe. Cool. I believe that knowledge is the best antidote to fear. Whether or not you think AI is friend or foe, I believe you should seek to understand it before trying to make judgment calls about it. Learn deeply about AI, whether you love it or hate it. You're supposed to know your friends, you're supposed to know your enemies even more, right? We can agree that, most likely all the humans right now that lead the companies that trained AI had huge moral failings, right? Okay, completely ignored copyright protections, they've broken the law for the sake of the move fast and break things mantra. Now that can be a really fun buzz phrase for tech CEOs to use, but potentially it's a really dangerous and irresponsible approach to what is about to be a huge turning point for all of human civilization. Knowledge is power. Don't just look at one Instagram post and be like, oh, okay, AI sucks, whatever. It does suck in a lot of ways, but there's more. There's more. Wait, there's more. So AI actually runs not on quantum computers, but on something else, a neural network. And these chips are in all the graphics cards that we run our creative software on. These work by using many layers of nodes that process in parallel. They do use a lot of electricity, but they're getting more efficient very quickly. And they're using neural networks to build better neural networks that are even more efficient. So this is a very optimistic view I have, but in some ways, AI might solve some of the problems it's causing itself. Maybe, let's hope, okay? Okay, I'm trying here. There's many problems with AI, but what is interesting about it is that the creation of the neural network was based on the human brain. So these neural processors are very good at looking at a lot of information, organizing it, and recognizing patterns, which is what our human brain does too. When a person can do this really quickly, we often call them a genius, like Phenomenon, that movie or whatever, or is that right? We often call them a genius. And that's another really optimistic thought I have, is that potentially AI could make the impossible possible for all of us. It could level the playing field, so you don't have to just be lucky enough to be born a genius to be successful. Because surprisingly, it's not being gatekept from any of us. Anyone can use it. Normally the stuff, they keep it from us, right? We could potentially all be geniuses with the help of AI partners that we use. Maybe I'm grasping at straws here, maybe I'm naively optimistic, but I'm trying to find bits of hope in our industry, which has been pretty bleak for a couple of years, right? Yeah, maybe it'll kill us. What's cool is we don't know, and we won't know for at least 3 to 5 years. But actually, we'll know a lot in the next 3 years. So stay tuned, all right? Stay tuned. Because AI is here. It's not going away. The ship has sailed. Companies are using it. Companies are asking their employees to use it. And I know it can feel like a really tough dilemma if you're being asked to use it and you do not support AI in any way. You might feel like you're being bad by using it. But we didn't invent AI, okay? We didn't make it so easily available. If you have a job that's asking you to use it, well, that burden of guilt really isn't on you. It's hard enough to get work right now. So if you're working somewhere, you need that job, and they ask you to use AI, the moral issue, it's not for you to solve. Companies don't play by the rules. We don't have to. Let them feel the guilt, okay? So don't beat yourself up about using it if you have to where you work. But regardless of if you want zero AI in your life or you want to embrace it full force, I encourage you to learn all you can about it because you need to know what's coming. So let's move on to another line of thinking that might be holding us back. We'll come back to AI, don't worry. Here's a very, very simple timeline of my career so far. Generously hoping my life is only about half over. We'll see. But it helps to think about death a little bit. Not like the bad ideation, just like puts things into perspective. I have a friend who used to always ask me, like, hey, have you thought about death today? And I appreciate that, because it's like, sheer love quits, where are you? You're not here. Anyway, we usually display timelines like this linearly, 1 or 2 dimensions, a line. And when you look at this, it kind of feels like when you start something, you leave it behind. Lo Harris talked about this. We did not coordinate. This makes it look like, yeah, you learn something new, you leave the thing behind. When I started to learn After Effects and Cinema 4D and Rive and going from full-time to freelance to considering full-time again, and ending up where I am now as a technical animator using Rive, it looks simple. It looks like one thing nicely leads to another. But it's a really limiting way to see things and to see your life and to see your experience and to see your growth. So I challenge you to look at your life like a tree does. A tree goes outward in a circle, adding layer after layer of material as it matures. I would challenge you to look at your own growth in the same way. If you place some of those milestones that I just showed you on this circle, you see them there on different rings. And yeah, I've pivoted focus. Sorry, Lo, I'm gonna say pivot. I know you hate that word. Sure, I've pivoted focus a lot of times, narrowing in on one thing or another for a period of time, maybe getting broader sometimes. My focus is moving around. And yeah, I face away from some things that I learned before. But they're still in there. They're still in the sphere. They're still in the experience. They're within the rings, like inside of me. I can access it. They're still stored in your brain. You can still access them. And also what's interesting is that, look at the ring of where I started After Effects and the ring of where I started learning Rive. The Rive ring is way bigger. I was learning Rive from a whole different set of experience and everything, looking at information at a different time in my life with a different set of circumstances, a different amount of experience. So this thinking, this illustration, I feel like can kind of make it feel less daunting knowing that maybe you're a little older, a little more experienced, and you have to learn something new, but you're coming at it with a bigger, broader view, a lot more experience. So that might help out. And that can make it seem a little less scary about if you have to learn something new, pivot a little bit with the coming AI, crazy, super intelligence, whatever is going on. Yeah. I know this is a very heady way of looking at things, but this stuff helps me, and I hope it helps some of you. And it's just like representative of how different people think. If it doesn't help you, let me know. I love to talk to you about it. If you disagree with me, that's fine. But what works for most people might not work for you, and that's okay. That's valid. That's important. Change is inevitable, and change keeps happening faster and faster. And I don't have time to elaborate on here, but you've probably often heard, evolutionarily speaking, our flesh-bag bodies and our physiology cannot keep up with it all. So you really need to learn how you learn. And I'm going to talk about that coming in this next level, level 3. This is like the chill beats to study to level. So relax a little bit. That's just advice for me. I need to relax. I need to relax. This is a lot of information, right? But I've discovered it through research. I know I probably sound like a guru, like I'm trying to lead a cult or something. So if you don't like, if I rub you wrong with any of this, come talk to me. Let's talk about it. I don't care. Yeah, I'd love to know. I'd love to know how you feel about this. Feel free to approach me and talk about your opinion. But this is just the philosophy I've developed as I near the middle of my probable lifespan. And I'm just expressing my experience. Disclaimer, right? Continuing on. So I've said over and over that you need to stretch your brains, be able to pivot, be elastic, adapt. And that might seem like, oh, I just want you to be a people pleaser. I want you to be a chameleon, just mirror whatever's popular, like be inauthentic, whatever. So that's not what I'm saying. And that's why I'm saying you need to know, how do you know what to learn? How do you know where to pivot? And here's where we will dig into your character development, your core principles, and perhaps develop a belief system for you. About 1.5 years ago, I was dealing with a pretty big setback in my life. I thought that something was going to happen. Maybe I read the situation wrong. I don't know, who knows? All I know is that I reached a point where I knew I couldn't handle it on my own. I couldn't solve it without help. I was really struggling. And I'd been seeing therapists all my life. I had been seeing a therapist previously, but I realized, like, I don't know, we just weren't meshing anymore. So I had to find a new one. So I found a new therapist. And this therapist, one of the first things she asked me regarding our therapy, how will we know it's working? Which was like an interesting question. How do we know it's working? I don't know, you tell me, whatever. But after she asked me this, it really required me to look inside and self-examine. I had to think, like, how do I know when I'm doing the right thing or I'm in the right place, in the right state of mind, that I have the best attitude? How do I know when I'm at 100% my full power? So I thought about, when am I the happiest? When does life feel like it's flowing along? When does it not feel like a struggle? And I came to the realization that when I'm at my best, there's this sense of wonder that I feel. A bit of childish wonder about and joy about what's possible. Not delusion, not fascination with scientific just like a fascination with scientific concepts like quantum entanglement, time dilation, multiverse theory, et cetera, et cetera. Sense of wonder. As an example, when I started learning Rive and I was building one of my first state machines, my mind felt like it opened up. I felt like a whole tree of possibilities was branching out of me of what I could do with that tool. Working with it makes my brain feel good. Working out systems that function how I need them to work is something I really enjoy, work I really enjoy. It's something that when I'm doing it, I know I'm in the right place, or at least the right place I should be at this moment. And in addition to that, I noticed that a lot of the interactive things I was making is bringing people delight and satisfaction when they interact with them. It's like a new level of reach I didn't know that my work could have, seeing people interact and have fun. It's like, wow, that's cool, that's awesome. So I'm sure you love the corporate term KPIs, key progress indicators. Anybody? Let's hear it for KPIs, right? Yeah, okay, we hate it, right? Very LinkedIn core, I know. But you do need an indicator. You need an indicator that indicates that you're in the right place, that you're feeling good, that you're feeling in tune with your world. You're gonna have days that feel off, but I'm talking about a balanced average to strive for. So search within yourself. Think about when you feel your best. Think of your most recent happy moment. Ask your friends and family, your partner, whatever, times they remember when they've seen you your most happy, when seen you at your happiest. I knew I was gonna mix up my words up here, but that's why I made cool slides, so you're distracted from what I'm saying. I mess it up, all right, thank you. Here's a picture of me at the Large Hadron Particle Collider in Switzerland. I was freaking so happy. Oh my God, that was so fun. I will talk your ear off about it for hours if you'd like. If you want to talk about Star Trek, particle colliders, etc., come see me afterward. Yeah, I love science. Yes, I do. So all this data has contributed to my own belief system. It gives me an ability to trust myself, trust my brain, trust my abilities, and also trust the universe to bring me where I need to be, or I want to be, or even to tell me if where I think I want to be isn't where I need to be. It's a loaded word, but it's almost a kind of faith. So if your belief system is based on trusting the big they, them upstairs, and that's like your truth, go for it. That's totally cool. But for me, it's more of like a universe is magical, science-based thing. Probably trust is a better word, but I threw faith out there just for fun. Because cool, right? I don't know. Dogma, yeah, fun. Yeah, universe is magical, magic is real. Cool. Yeah, so we reached level 4 already. Am I moving? I'm moving like fast or something. I don't know what's going on. So cool. So I've been talking about these super intelligent AIs that are going to solve everything, make us geniuses, make our life great. Why aren't they doing anything about this situation? Why does my Face ID never work? CAPTCHA, codes. Oh my God, your new password can't be your previous password. And all these algorithms are just sucking us in, tempting us to doom scroll eternally. Got it? All right, yeah, landed the joke. All right. Boom. So let's take a break, and no, we are gonna take a break. We're gonna watch a video so I can breathe and so that you can sit there and think about this. Let's rage about this tonight at 8 o'clock when I DJ at the party, okay? Let's rage together. There is no networking allowed while I DJ, okay? But you can do it before and after, okay? But for now, let's look at a video. So the show Portlandia. In 2011, they aired their first episode. They were extremely ahead of their time. So I think this illustrates the point better than I can. Check it out.
Check my email really quick. Oh my God. Huffington Post has the top 10. One more text. Software update. I gotta watch these movies and I gotta return them. Help. Gary? Gotta check my texts, my email.
Fred?
Help. One more text. I gotta watch all these movies before they have to return them. Up on my queue and top 10 family photos. Send one more text.
I know.
Please go. My DVR.
No, please put it
check
down.
my Facebook update. I can Tumblr.
Fred, wait, please. You know what's happening, right? You're just spiraling. You're out of control. No, there's too many things going on. But
I want to check my texts.
You're out, right?
Help me, please. Please help me. Please help me out. Wait, will you help me? Will you please help me? Text. And I think that should work. Carrie, please help. I'm checking, hanging out. I'm checking.
Fred?
Checking my text. I'm checking my... What is this?
Fred, that's you in high school. That's you before computers and internet and iPads and YouTube and Tumblr. You're for your fantasy baseball league. You're for your Netflix queue.
Which I have to watch.
No, look how happy you look. You're in a technology loop.
Okay, what should we do?
Welcome to MindFi.
Carrie, what's that?
It's MindFi. I just installed it. It's like Wi-Fi, but for our thoughts. Now you can let go of all your electronic devices and just be free in your mind.
Cool. How does it work?
Hey, have you ever wondered what the hottest celebs are up to? What? Just think keyword gossip
no.
to get the latest celebrity buzz.
I'm gonna think about that.
Do not think about that, Fred.
Now transferring to celebrity.
Fred? Fred?
I think about this sketch all the time. Oh my God, and that was 2011, ahead of its time. Comedy is very healing for the soul, right? Knowledge is power, knowledge fights fear, comedy also fights it. So how do you deal with this overwhelming technology loop, all this stuff? I say don't sweat the big stuff. What do I mean there? I think by default, we're all really tuned into what's happening in the world. We're all tuned in, we have automatic, overdriven empathy for what's going on. So I'm not saying bury your head in sand. I'm not saying don't pay attention to what's happening on the entire world, the earth, the climate. But I am asking you to think realistically about the sphere of your influence. If you are stressing about what's going on, you're like, I wish I could make a difference, I wish I could do something. All this technology, all these algorithms, they're distracting you by showing you only the things you can't do anything about. Just showing you the world news, just showing you stuff that you can't really make a difference with. But where can you make a difference? Where can you move the needle? In your local government. Perhaps reading your local newspaper or working for your local newspaper, going to local gathering spaces, going to city council meetings, joining local boards. Many cities, they have a mayor, but they also have a city manager, which is a hired position. Mayor is elected, city manager is a hired position. So you don't have to necessarily become a politician to work for a city and start to make a difference. You know, call your representatives, do all that stuff, but think about your local sphere of influence. We all have about 100 people around us that we can really make a difference with. So think about that and don't sweat the big stuff, okay? All right, wow. So now I'm gonna talk a little bit about my local sphere of influence, Boxfort and so on. In Detroit, Michigan, Detroit, yeah, okay, we're cool. Detroit hustles harder, Detroit versus everybody. Detroit versus Raleigh, how do you say it? Raleigh, sorry, Mac. Yeah, so Boxfort is our studio space, basically a co-working space where we all hang out, play hacky sack, do work, have phone calls and things, and play video games and have movie nights. But it's a local gathering space. We have events there, all kinds of things. It's just a place where maybe everyone isn't there all the time, but like it's a hub. It's a place where you know you're probably gonna see people, like-minded people that you know. Get advice from them, give advice to them. Get out of your head, get out of your house. I love Boxfort. It's our space. It's our space in Detroit. And I love that though, I like that. Okay, cool, my crew, okay. So at Boxfort, a lot of things happen, right? One of the things is Mograph Mondays. Mograph Mondays is a monthly meetup that we have in Detroit that I started in 2014, but now my friend Nat Anderson runs it. very well. She runs it. She's very tuned into the next generation and all that stuff. And she's got those Chompy stickers you're seeing everywhere, okay? So get her sticker, get Chompy. Also, Nat is freaking killer at a lot of stuff, and her Riz is off the charts, and you should hire her for things. So talk to Nat Anderson. I hope she's not too embarrassed of what I'm saying right now. Love you. So yeah, Mograph Mondays, meetups, you know, the things like we're doing here, just local things. But yeah, every month. Also, another awesome person in Detroit doing a lot of good work is Amy Unger, the executive director for the Gunner School. So yes, Amy, you're right there. Yeah, so the Gunner School, you know, Gunner used to be a studio, right? I don't know, maybe you've heard of it. It got acquired by Duolingo, as did Hobbs, as you know, as most of Detroit is getting acquired. So, but whatever. When Duolingo acquired Gunner, the name went on to become a nonprofit school, a place for people to learn motion graphics and expand their careers and their abilities for free. There's a bunch of Gunner students here right now. Amanda, John, Kevin. Nat was a Gunner student also. And that's run by Amy Unger. And Amy has over 10 years of animation education experience. She was School of Motion's first employee. So she knows what she's doing. She's also a really good producer, so you know, hire her, hire Nat, hire Amy. Please hire all my friends, if you can. But one really cool example of an event that the Gunner School put on, in addition to the normal curriculum and everything, was this zine workshop held by Narciso Espiritu. This is a perfect example of creating something physical, something local, something that AI can see it now because everyone's taking pictures of it, right? So now AI's got it, darn it. But when you first made it, AI didn't have it. When you just looked through your eyes, you didn't have MindFi installed. AI didn't have it yet. So you can make stuff and just share it with people in a local space, breathing each other's air. You know, everyone's particles moving, all our particles are moving in between each other right now, you know, just share some space. So, but yeah, an example of thinking locally, shrinking down, just looking at a little bit. So we're reaching the end of my talk here. Crazy. That went way faster than I expected. But I'd like to leave you with some further reading. If you're interested in learning more about science, quantum computers, whatever, how everything's gonna end, check out the Huge If True YouTube channel. Davis Hiracino, you'll love that. Huge If True, he loves to say that phrase. But yeah, this Cleo Abrams, she used to work for Vox, lots of good information, and she doesn't really inject too much opinion, just kind of clear information. I also like books by Brian Greene, if you wanna learn like a lot of the concepts of quantum mechanics that aren't clear, like string theory and such. Those books are great. I suggest getting your news from a news source like Ground News or All Sides. They are news sources that look at all of the news outlets and rate them on a bias scale. So the news you're getting isn't unbiased, but it's telling you the bias of the outlets that are reporting on it. Like this percentage left, this percentage right, this percentage center. And also it has filters where you can turn off sources with paywalls so that everything you look at doesn't have a paywall. You don't have to like get all in there because you know Apple News doesn't work. And I love that. But because all information has a bias, and so try to get news from one of these things. I actually subscribe to Ground News because it's chill, it's grounded, right? Oh my gosh, that's the end of my talk. I think there's something else I was gonna say, but thank you very much, Dash Fash. Thanks everybody. That was awesome. Oh my gosh.